Greetings, travelers. Shade Tree Mechanics. We're doing a little maintenance here. We got a little issue, and I'll show you what it's all about. Now what we got here is I've pulled the drum off, and this is the end of my axle, the drive shaft axle. You see that? That's no good. I'm going to show you in a minute why that's got that much movement. Now to get that shaft out, you've got to pull this pin out, and to get this pin out, you have to undo this screw, this little bolt. So we'll pull the bolt, this shaft slides out. You can take it all the way out or just get it past where the axle shaft has to move in there. Stand by. Okay, well, I tried to get the clip out. It's out all right. Plus the two spider gears have dropped. No problem. Just a little delay. Let's see what this axle looks like. Clip's still on it. Dagnabbit. All right, let's see if that axle will come out. I have to jiggle it. Well, there she is. Let's see what's wrong with it. Looks perfectly fine, doesn't it? This is what's wrong with it. There's a big old groove in the axle. Machined. That's 268,000 miles. Come on out. Do you feel a groove there? No. This is messed up if it was. Oh, sure. Groove? No groove. So this is what's causing it to wiggle in there on the bearing. So we have a new bearing and a new seal. Also, what's going on is when your seal fails and it's leaking oil, it's because this thing is it's getting out of round. The axle is moving around and it's wearing out the seal. So just because you replace the seal, check this too, which means you got to pull the axle out. Sorry. Now, how's our length look? All right, we'll come back. Now, I've seen this on the YouTube. You take the old axle, get it in here, and pull that seal out. Wonderful. Not so much for the bearing, but I got a tool. You go to O'Leary's, get you this tool. is the right one. Yeah, that's the right one. That's weird. I got it in backwards. Pausing. I got this tool. You can rent this tool. It goes into the bearing. You kind of move it over. And that's grabbing the sides of the bearing. It's best to do this when it's about 98 degrees out. It's a full body workout, similar to a ball joint. So tighten that up. Pausing. You have a slide hammer in it. Pay attention, there'll be a test at the end of a quiz. That's not how my uncle does it. You see this slide hammer? Okay, we'll let you know if it comes out. I think there's going to be a lot of banging here. Okay, she came out. Now, I think the key was I did a little torch around the outside here on this housing here and squirted with some PB Blaster. It's kind of hot, cold going on, and she came out. Pausing. I'm going to clean this up and then we'll put in the bearing. Excuse me, now I had this bearing sitting in dry ice for about 3 or 4 hours. Label side out. some say. Take the old bearing, set her on there, and give it a whack. Also got this big piece of metal here. Doesn't quite fit. Let's try the old bearing trick. Well, that doesn't look like it's going to work. Guy at the store said, "I just take a big piece of wood." Let's pause it. Looks like it's going in. Use an old bearing. Got it in about an eighth or so. Just taking this big old hammer. Tap the top, the bottom, the sides. About a 1/4 inch to go. All right, she's in there. Put a little grease. Don't need it because it'll be full of gear oil. But she's in there. Now put on the seal and we can throw the axle in and be done, right? You can kind of feel it giving away a little bit. And it sits right in that happy spot, in his little home. If it bounces back, it's hitting solid, but you can feel it kind of going in. Yeah, right there. Oh, yeah. Just inside that lip, all the way around. I'm liking it. Nice. Give it a little grease. Now we just throw the axle in there. Now when the axle goes in, you feed these splines into a corresponding female splines and put the axle in about 1 inch into all that. And then this little clip, it's a metal key, slides over the end like that. And once that's in place, you pull the axle outboard, pull it this way, and it locks it in. And then that big pinion pin sits in here and keeps it from going in and out. And that's all that's holding your axle in. This little piece here somehow breaks, your wheel, your axle, everything comes off. Drum, Chevy engineering. So there's no real slot or anything. When I get this in there, I'll just feed it up through the top and let gravity do it. Drops down, then pull the axle out. And this is that big pin that sits through the chunk. And this has to be out of the way for this to slide this way, take the clip off, pull the axle. Reverse, put the axle in, put on the clip, pull the axle back out, then this will fit in. And you got this, I guess 5/16 bolt holds that all in place. This little bolt holds the pin, and the pin holds the axle, and the axle holds the clip, and unfortunately 2 spider gears jumped out. They're trying to escape these spider gears. And the trick to these is get them in place and then rotate the axle and feed them in. They'll roll right in as you spin the axle from the outside. You got to kind of stretch. You got one hand on the spider gear and one hand on the outboard side of the axle where the studs are. And you're rotating that and you're feeding this in as you go. And if it all fits proper, this goes in there, lines up just right. Got another one on this side. I think they're like this, something like that inside there. It was a real trick when I first got it. You can't just push these spider gears in. Oh, just pop them in. No, you have to rotate this axle and this gear and feed these in. You kind of rotate them in. It's pretty fun. All right, let's put this new axle shaft in. It gets to the end here, it's got to go into a little hole down there. So you have to kind of flex this end. So we're up against it. There. Now it should be all the way inboard. So I can put my... We're having time trials. So it's it's inboard enough to get my little clip on, and then we'll pull it back out about that far, and it's locked into place. Put my spider gears together and my little pin in there and button it up. Pretty sharp. Now these, it comes with new bolts. This is what holds your tar on. And I had to take the axle and set it on a block of wood and beat those things in there. They have splines on them and they're just hammered in. So take a big hammer and hammer them in, and they'll once they get going, they drive in straight. But you got to have your bolts on there for your wheel. Now, if I put it in place there, remember the wiggle? There ain't no wiggle. It'll sit something like that. And when I do the spider gears, I'll have one hand on the spider gear, and reaching out up under here, I'll turn this and rotate it, and the spider gear will feed itself into its little spot. All right, that's enough fun for today.